Hello everyone again. My name is 𝘂𝗲𝗯𝗶. I am the coordinator of the 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝘁 project, and I'm going to facilitate this webinar, which is more like a workshop with Ina Kwian and Sandrine Doretro from the Steinbeis Europe Zentrum. And I will talk a little bit about the aim of these webinars and the topic what we are discussing here today. And for that, I would like to share a presentation with you. Okay, so this is the sixth for webinar series, what we organize within the 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝘁 project. We call it Policy Dialogue Webinar. But for today, and this was true for the last two webinar as well, but today we are doing more like a workshop, because we would like to discuss the topic what we are offering today for you. So those who are freshly joined to this webinar series, the 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝘁 project is a Horizon project. We are in our last year, and we are a large project having 20 partner and 1 affiliated partner. And our main goal, our main job, what we are doing here is that we are trying to experiment with how to make the STEAM education more gender inclusive. So this is the main topics what we are always covering during this webinar. But today we are focusing on a specific stakeholder group, which is the research funding institutions and the public authorities. So those who have the capacity and also have the responsibility to improve and promote STEAM education and gender inclusiveness within STEAM education. So just very briefly, I would like to share that what we are doing in our project. So we have an activity during which we are experimenting, we are piloting different educational activities. So for instance, we organize a workshop for teenage girls, which is really focusing on like career orientation and like boosting their motivation towards career fields, STEM career fields. And then we have a mentoring program for university students and PhD students. And we having impact assessment matched to all of these activities, and based on these results, we would like to provide insights to our policy roadmap. We had a research within the project. We were seeing that we want to see that how those who entered into the tertiary level of STEM education, how they get there, what was their motivation, what challenges they are experiencing by being a student and studying in a STEM field. And so all these results, again, going to our policy roadmap. And so the main reason we are organizing this policy webinar is because we are collecting insights and experiences of different stakeholders, what will go into the policy recommendations. And other than these activities, we are collecting best practices, which are published on the 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝘁 project website. And we are also having local level stakeholder groups, what we call national inspiration hubs. These are involving mainly teachers and educators from informal groups. And these national inspiration groups, hubs, are organized in 14 countries out of the consortium. So I would like to speak a little bit that how we planned these webinars. So this is the sixth one, and for the first 3 webinar, so they were really like a traditional form of webinar. So we invited key stakeholders, and we were talking about what it means to have a gender responsive STEAM education. And we also wanted to discuss what this jump from STEM to STEAM means. So we were collecting insights regarding these topics. And for the rest of the webinars, So we organized this workshop style of webinars when we presented recommendations, which are breakdown by the stakeholders we are targeting, and we are discussing and we are collecting feedback and comments on this recommendation. But before I talk, yes, and so we will present the roadmap by the end of the project, which is going to be on by the end of November or the first week of December. We will organize a final conference in Brussels, which obviously will be about the STEAM education and with the specific focus within it on the gender inclusiveness. So I would like to share first that we had the chance to organize a roundtable discussion at the EU Award for Gender Equality Champion. It was on the 3rd of February, and at this roundtable discussion, we met with the representatives of higher education institutions, and it was like really like a major event for us, because at this event we could talk with these representatives of what they think of their roles. And this is something I would like to share with you as providing insights, thoughts for today's discussion. So briefly, I would like to share that what we have seen there, so what we collected there. So first of all, our intention was there to speak with the participants there. They were all like senior, coming from the senior management, or they were really from the leadership. So we wanted to discuss with them that what kind of leadership is needed, and so it was very interesting to hear how they also like admitted that there should be a change in the leadership, mainly, or not mainly, but this was one angle, that a new form of leadership is needed if we want to take it seriously, that we so the institution needs to step forward the gender equality. And of course, we were talking about that a lot. So they were listed a lot of examples that what kind of changes are needed if an institution wants to embed the gender equality plans, which requires them all kind of changes in the policy, in the institutional processes. They were speaking about that it's not about changing some instruments in the institutional, like some processes, but also the values. So it was really like I have to say that they were aware that this is not only changing some mechanisms, but if they want to change mechanism, this also include changing values as well. So there was a lot of talking about that, how to change and what to do about the stereotypes. For instance, the stereotypes that working between the academic persons and between the academy and the students as well. It was really highlighted, which is a very valuable point for our recommendations, that these changes, so these institutional level changes, cannot be done without having sufficient networks within the institutions and between the institution as well. So there was a lot of comment on that, how much they are happy that they have allies and they participated in projects to improve their gender equality plans. It was also highlighted that it's not enough to implement gender equality plans, but need assessment and research. So the scientific evidence is needed to put behind these needs. And yes, because so there was a mix of the institutions in terms of the countries represented there, and the anti-gender narratives and addressing the gender bias that was like a hot topic there, and of course the intersectionality. So it's a long time. It's there. Intersectionality is a requirement not only for the gender equality gaps, but for the gender focused research as well. But still, it was. So there was some comments on it that it's still something we need to keep learning and we need to applying. So this seemed to be like an important message to us as well. And so we have been creating these policy recommendations in the last half a year. And on this way, we became like sure that what we have to focus on when we would like to have a good group of policy recommendation. And so we need to take attention to certain things. Like, for instance, one is that there is the persistent gender gaps in STEAM education, but besides this, or despite of this, there are lots of policy actions and commitment projects are going on. So somehow we have to deal with this. Oh, sorry. And we also know that we have to, so we have to aim to answer to address issues which are about the persistent structure and cultural barriers, which is really difficult. But that's why so the next step is really connected to it, that we have to have a multidimensional, we have to aim for a multidimensional interventions. And today we are, so as you can hear, we listed what it means for a roadmap, but today we only would like to focus on this institutional governance, leadership, and accountability. So we would like to see that how the funding organizations and those who are considered as a strategic decision makers, what their roles, how they can count accountable for the changes that needs in the institutions. Okay, it's almost over, I promise. I just would like to share that we already have a framework for the roadmap. And just like for any other roadmap, we created, so we defined different policy areas. And under these policy areas, we will list the recommendations. There are 3. And the first one includes recommendation, which address institutional changes, institutional transformation. The second policy area includes recommendations which address the cross-sectoral approaches. So how different sectors, how different type of institutions can collaborate with each other. And so what we are offering, addressing for this. And then the third policy area is dealing with the STEAM approach and the education. So this area contains recommendations which are for how to improve methodology, how to support the teachers, how to support the research. And as said, today we are focusing on these stakeholder groups because we will break down the recommendation according to which stakeholder groups we are addressing, we are offering the recommendation. And for today, we have prepared 12 recommendations. And so after my very hectic introduction, I would like to invite you to come with us. We will split you into 3 breakout rooms, and we will spend there like 30-40 minutes there. The aim is that we are coming back at 12 o'clock. And after this small discussion, we will have a kind of plenary session where we will share what was discussed at the breakout rooms. So, hello, everyone. Okay, so would you mind starting to share what were discussed in your room?
You mean me? Okay.
Yes.
We just had to talk to discuss the first recommendation, and we were like just right in the middle of a very interesting discussion about the recommendation number 4. For the, I mean, as I said, since we discussed only 4 recommendations, so I cannot talk about the rest. But luckily, the participants were really active in also putting comments in the following one. So I hope that we will be still able to work on that. So recommendation number 1, what we said, or maybe I can, I don't know if you want me to summarize or if I let the people who made the comment maybe talk. I don't know, what's your preferred option, Katalin?
I don't have a preference, so please just share what you think, what is important, or like what is the, I don't know, lessons learned at your
So
discussion.
the first one, I mean, they were saying that it's still very important, but it's very important to know the type of funding which is available at the national level, and probably this would be helpful at the EU level. It's not so easy to address the gaps that you could identify at national level. So it's just more like to target more the national funding and the type of funding available. That would be probably something that we could work on. I mean, Jade was part of the group, and so she could. Jade is our policy officer for the other one.
Hello, Katalin.
And so we had a very good session with Jade, and she provided a lot of also interesting view with the view of the EU Commission, so which is also very interesting for us. And so I don't know if Jade, if you want to complement what I just said. I mean,
I will be happy, but I don't want to.
No,
I mean, I
fine.
think you have many participants, and I was speaking already a lot during the breakout room, and it's a conversation that I'm happy also to continue afterwards. So if you want to give priority also to the other participant that might not be in also close contact with you, please do not hesitate, and we can always discuss at another opportunity. But just to really quickly summarize, my main comment was mainly about that there is, and I fully agree with the discussion we were having, that unfortunately the way fundings works are upon 3 years, 2 years, and there is a funding cycle that then leads to the fact that there is sometimes not the possibility to recover or to continue what has been produced. So my comment in general are more about like, how do we scale those projects? How do we replicate what they did? How do we avoid duplication? And also like this very thin line between like what can the EU do and what actually needs to be done at a national level. So I was also saying that sometime, like for example, we're talking about repository like in the policy recommendation 4, and I was saying like maybe one thing that could be helpful would be to also have endorsement at national level about repository that exist. So to say, okay, this, for example, should be the one that we promote also internally to our professor to make sure they use it, to make sure they know they can populate it also. So that will be definitely something that will help also in terms of collaboration across the member state. And yeah, I don't want to take too much time. So, but happy to continue the discussion also outside this session.
Yeah, thank you. And yes, you did summarize also the other comments. We had also a very interesting comment from Peter, who is working in a museum and also a STEAM teacher, like highlighting also the link between arts and also the new tech and STEAM and how we should develop, or how things are developing, actually influencing arts is influencing, and art and design are influenced by STEAM education as well. So there is also like a clear link on that. There was also commented that there is a lot of funding which exists, but we need to improve their implementation and their use to make them a bit more effective. And again, we need to be able to discriminate or to identify what is national funding, regional funding. Again, addressing those gaps sometimes is a bit difficult at EU level. So that's also, again, I would say the main feedback. And regarding the repositories, we said that there are a lot, and some they are also not known even by the people from the community, which is a bit a pity. So we should find a way to make them continuing even after the project end and known by the community. So here, and as Jacques was saying, endorsement from maybe EU level, national level, to make them survive after the project ends. So there are a few things here, but as we say, we just reached policy number 4. So then the others I cannot really tell. That was it from our side. Maybe for the people who are in the group, if something is missing, please do not hesitate to speak. Like Peter or Emmeline, you did some comments, so don't hesitate.
I think you summed it up well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sandrine. And now, Ina, I would like to call you to share what was discussed in your group.
Yes, so in our group, we have managed to touch upon all recommendations, but just very, very briefly. And for the first question about the clarity of the language, it was said multiple times that the recommendations could be more specific to be actionable. And for the second questions about the gaps, unfortunately, we have not had time to go through them yet. And for the third question about the feasibility, recommendation 4 and 6 were said to be difficult to implement. And sometimes it was also said that a recommendation should be carefully designed, and that the way of implementing should be, it should be, how is it called? Should be in the recommendation. So for the fourth question about the priorities, we had 2 big winners, recommendation 1 and 3. So recommendation 1 was picked 4 times as the most important recommendations and twice as the second most important. And the reason for that is because the participants thought that this is the foundational recommendation where everything else needs to align to. And then the recommendation 3 was picked as very important as it is intersectional and with different stakeholders. And also the thought of learning by doing was seen as a good approach. So that would be it from my side. Does anyone from my group want to add something or correct me, please? I think not. Then thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ina. So thank you for all your comments. First of all, I just would like to say that we know about the clarities, that we have to formulate the recommendation in a more clear way, but that's why we organize this webinar, so we collect your insights on it. So let me just share a few things what was said in the group read. So we all together looked through 6 recommendations, but really very quickly. So obviously the time was not enough for to visit all the recommendations. Okay, so regarding the first one, so for me it was interesting. So the recommendation includes that evidences on the funds, that how they unfold, how they are, so what are their story after the fund is over. So these kind of things the recommendation includes. But we were more talking about, the participants were more talking about of the evidences of the gender equality in STEM. So we kind of like turned our discussion towards the evidences. So I don't know how shall we do it, because there is the she figures, for instance, which includes already lots of data. So this is a really good, it's going to be a really good exercise for us to have a recommendation on how to better collect evidences data on the gender equality, a state of gender equality in STEM, in STEAM. So that was one point in our recommendation, and it was mentioned by Chiara that there is a STEM competence framework under creation, which going to be published in 2027. I'm saying that this is going probably this is of interest of you. And then we also discussed the recommendation regarding the resources. And interestingly, there was, or not interestingly, but there was a good point said that maybe we should focus rather more on the networks. So supporting the networks so that they would be able to share what they have, because it was kind of admitted, yes, there are too many things going on right now, and maybe it's impossible, maybe it's not realistic that we connect or like have one major repository for all the resources. So maybe we should, instead of saying something of repositories, resources, maybe we should focus more on networking, supporting networking, how they join with each other. So thank you for that. I think it was a very good point for us. And lastly, I would like to share that, of course, so it's mainly connected to the what I am saying. It's mainly connected to the recommendation 4, 5, and maybe 6. It's about that how to support those who are doing the STEAM education on the spot. And by one of the participants, it was described that whatever we would like to do, it's really difficult because in some countries the educational system is very rigid, and so that's true that they need to be changed. And in many countries, they are working on it. So, for instance, it was mentioned, it was a case from Slovenia that the national curriculum is just under revision, and but this is really difficult to change the systems for many reasons. Like one reason is that not the right people, not the right offices sit in an office. And so, yes, we were speaking of that, like the awareness raising is needed for people who are leading these organizations and offices. So going back to that, the system is too rigid and it's too difficult. So there were 2 ways recommended how they can change. So how the rigid systems could be changed. One is that so what we are offering, they need to be obligatory on EU level. So like not a choice, not based on choice on the national level. And the other one was something like that we need to highlight the role of the teachers. That's why we need to support the teachers more. So we have to put a spotlight on the teachers, because often it is the case that when a change is initiated in a school, like for instance, let's say a STEM laboratory is established, it often depends on an enthusiastic teachers. So that's why we should provide recommendation, and we should really work on supporting the teachers more. Okay, so these are the points I wanted to highlight from our group, and I am really happy to see that there are hands on. But before I give you the floor, Maya, I would like to ask my group participants that if they would like to add anything to what I just said. Okay, if not, Maya, please go ahead and
yeah, my apologies. I couldn't comment immediately Ina's overview, which was great. I just wanted to add to that why 1 and 3 recommendation, are worth the chance here in our group, because I think that first we need the foundation, and this is then enabler, of course, to development of the STEM policies and to do implementation. And the 3 is actually building the awareness and recognition and name it this as an ecosystem, which should then follow, all the circularity among the stakeholders and the segments. And I think that if you try to set, the steps towards the ecosystem, then things are moving, because each stakeholder can contribute to the recognition and awareness, and of course, implementation of the policy. That was just
Okay, thank you for adding this.
Thank you,
Awareness thing
Tina.
came up in our group as well. Okay, thank you. Okay, so from now on, we would like to open the discussion. So if any of you would like to add something, you are very welcome to step in and say your opinion on what was said, what was shared here, or if you have anything to say on the recommendation, on specific recommendation. Marina, please go ahead. I see your hands is up.
Thank you. We didn't arrive to this recommendation, so I just wanted to explain maybe what I wrote, because I don't think it will be very clear about the funding, the specific funding for women, and especially in research and stuff. I had this experience that I would always also say, let's work on this more for specific funding for women, but many women with whom we had interviews for various projects, and they were explaining to us how they their study process and work and everything. Many of them spoke about this interesting thing that happens sometimes, that, and this is how many of them felt, that sometimes you create like very limited funding, and you say, this is like, we have 2 places for women, and you have 200 women in the faculty, for example. And so it's kind of like one of the ways of kind of putting women one against each other. And I think, I don't know how we can kind of mitigate it, but that was something that for many was very frustrating, because they said, yes, we already have limited opportunities for us. These are 2 places only for women. And for these 2 places, we need to fight between each other. And it's kind of like not what we're speaking about, not what's supposed to happen. So it's kind of like one of the interesting phenomena that is kind of maybe not really going aligned with many other things that we're kind of proposing, but I think it's also, if we can mention somehow that it needs to be done in kind of like different way, and yeah, that was my small comment, because I don't know if it was very clear for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's a very, very interesting and very important angle you brought in. And in this case, I'm always thinking that, okay, so it's either 2 women competing or it's 0 women competing. But of course, it's really like really depend on the certain funding.
Yes,
I don't know.
Here the important aspect
but it's
is that
always a
it's not,
question. Yes, you're right.
No, here it's important that it's not going to be kind of like this, I don't know, this act of tokenism that we will create 2 places for you. You're again 200 women, we create 2 places for you, and you fight for that, and we did something. So it needs to be kind of like, without again aspect of tokenism, it needs to be well thought through, well planned, and it needs to actually make sense.
I think this is a question which needs to be discussed really based on what specific fields of STEM we are talking to, because in lots of the STEM, I think it's really important what you just raised. But so yesterday we just had a focus group discussion with partners who are implementing hands-on activities and activities to teenage girls, and so what we learned there is that we don't really have to think of that how to encourage the girls to enter into STEM fields, because they are already there. It's about that they have less chances to thrive in the STEM fields. So I think what you're saying, so I'm just adding that what you're saying, it really has to connect it with the specific fields of STEM fields when we are speaking about funding. So it's matter if it's a fund like women studying in biology or ICT. So it can be really different for the different fields.
Yeah, and it's also one of the other things, again, what you just underlined, another thing that came out from our research is that many teachers were saying that, again, so they can promote STEM to all the number of girls as they can. But me personally, for example, I wanted to do research, and I was not allowed to do research, and I had many difficulties. I needed to drop out, and I teach in high school. And we can motivate everyone to study, but then what will happen later? We need to also like while we're motivating girls to study STEM, we also need to think what is going to happen later. So they will not end up without job positions, without possibility to continue, without institutional help in order to remain active while they have children or families or stuff like that. So it's a complex question.
Yes, it is. And in our project, we are mostly focusing on the step from the secondary education to the tertiary education. But yes, so we know that it's very important to talk about the gender equality in connection to all of the career stages. That's true.
I would like to. I have raised recommendation number 7 because I that if we support women and women direct funding and resources has a spillover. These women becoming the good mentors, they are becoming the role models. They have more chances to reach high positions, all science institutions. So I think it has a lot of spillover effects. It sounds simple. I think a lot of very positive repercussions. I saw under this station can produce unnecessary competitiveness between women, which I actually haven't thought that before. This could be a second effect, but at the same time, I don't think that such secondary effects should hinder women. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Unfortunately, I could hardly hear you, but I think I get most of what you were saying. Yeah. Okay, I don't see any more hands on, so I guess this is kind of the end of our workshop here. I really would like to encourage you to put notes on the recommendation if you can do that, maybe after we end the webinar, and if you just have 5 more minutes and put your notes next to your recommendation. For instance, Maria, if you can type down what you just said so we fully understand what you wanted to comment on. Okay, so thank you very much for coming and being here with us. And Ina, you might have something to add by the end of the webinar.
Yes, I just wanted to add that I would suggest the concept board is still in editor mode for about a week, so you can read through all the recommendations and then add your notes, I would say. Is that fine for everybody? Because maybe it's frustrating that you have only put your thoughts in for 4 recommendations.
I think that is the best way because we can thoroughly read and then comment what we still think could come better out. But I think that recommendations generally are really well prepared and they go to the direction which we all want.
Yes, and as Sandrine has put into the chat, it would also be nice if you could also vote on your most important 2 recommendations that you would, you find the most important. All right,
Okay,
that would be it for me. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here with us, and we would really appreciate if you put your comments on the concept board.